Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're just going to be looking back at the last session, which was folding too much to big blind steel versus small blind. And then Adam says we're going to test me on some tricky spots on turns and rivers. So I hope you enjoy.
Right, those are coming in now.
Nice one.
How many hands is it? Do you know?
Three and a
1,000.
half, I think.
Yeah, perfect. There we go. Right, so in terms of topics from the last couple of streams, we've got. I'm gonna check again that 3-bet, fold to 3-bet on the button. Even though you've been absolutely nailing it, just because we need to stay on top of it for sure. Oops. We'll go this month. We'll just fly through these. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, it's pretty good price. Very deep stacked, suited. I should have called.
It's pretty close. It's not. I don't think it's a disaster. I think it's hard for it to be worth too much.
Fold Jack
But we
6
are
suited
opening a
very
wide
easy.
range. Yeah, Jack 6 probably going to come out. Jack 8's going to be in. So what does Jack 7 want to do? It's probably pretty close.
Oh,
So
this
it's
is the
nowhere
home game,
between.
I think.
This is a mistake. Yeah. What about this one?
I prefer the Jack 7 suited, to be honest, but I feel like these suited kings are very strong in position post flop. So yeah, probably should have called.
The big 3-bet. Big 3-bet. It's not quite 5x, but it's pretty close. But if we just go to 100 bigs, see Jack 7's out against that sizing. So
So it's king
9.2 would
3,
be.
so yeah, well. I thought, so the two hands are fine.
Yeah, this size is 4x, so this is probably going to just sneak in. Like the Queen 7, Jack 7 probably going to sneak in, but they're going to be worth around 0, I would imagine. So I'm not concerned with this one. And this one, the sizing's big, so it's just sneaking out. Although the sizing in the sim, again, it's a little bit bigger. So you could make an argument that both are in, but they're close. Again, I'm not too concerned if you fold a hand right on the edge. As long as you're staying on top of the hands we were folding before. Like
Yeah.
in this spot, we might have folded like King 7, King 6 suited before. We might have folded Jack 8. We might have folded King 8, whatever it is. King Jack, Queen Jack. It looks like you're on top of those, so. Beautiful.
Nice.
So let me take a note for these. So we'll look at a couple of refreshers. Fold versus 3-bets. Very good. Let's check out some of these steals. Small blind versus steel. I know this looks like we're kind of jumping around a little bit with topics, but we're not using this as study time. Like, we're not studying these topics. We're just giving you potentially a topic to go away and be conscious of.
Yeah, these are topics we've covered already, and all those videos are on my YouTube channel, so make sure you check them out.
The small blind versus steel button, when we're deep, there's none there. Perfect. I know it's only 3k hands, but... So cut off when we're shallow, there's one. Let's double check. Might be just a big open or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a read. It's pretty tough to defend that, isn't it? I guess he's betting. I guess he's raising big into that big blind. Maybe I missed something.
Yeah, I think it's hard for Ace 10 to come out against a 3. I do like his open when the big blind's got below
Yeah.
10 bigs. That's something that's quite common from late position. When the big blind's short, if you let the solver use a min raise and a 3, I have seen it tends to lean towards 3 in chips.
Is this
Um,
PKO by any chance? It'd
let's
be
take a look.
disaster fold if it was PKO, obviously.
I mean, it might be, but it doesn't look like it is based on the hand
No,
history.
it's not.
We're not going to be able to find a sim with the 3x, unfortunately. I would probably play, just looking at the sim. Because if we drive this sizing up to a 3, I think Ace 10, King Jack are going to be pretty competitive. Obviously, the range is going to get tighter. It's hard to say. Maybe we can run this one and see what the range looks like. But I do plan on running a bunch of sims with bigger opens, so 3, 3.5, and 4x, just to see how the strategies respond, because I feel like that's pretty understudied. Definitely for me, it is. So very soon we're going to have some juicy sims. Um, yeah, it's probably pretty close, and there's none in that one, so perfect. So small blind Vesti looks good. Small blind limp fold, that was the other one, wasn't it?
That was the main one. I feel like that's that's a harder leak to plug. I remember, or I didn't remember. I messaged you, and then you told me mid session, and then it was still kind of hard to gauge it.
Yeah. I think about this one.
Um, I don't know if anyone watched the live stream recently, but I limp raised this uh, on my live FT against an aggressive player. But I think limp raise or limp fold. I can't see this being a limp call.
Yeah, so one's pretty close. I think I would probably play. Main reason being is we're quite shallow. So these kind of combos are going to get a little bit easier. Obviously, this isn't our offsuit 8x block. That's going to be your defend, right? It's not the offsuit 7s, which are going to be in when we're shallow. But it is a king. So we are going to be, excuse me. Obviously, with the king X, we're going to be wider. So I think it's close. I think I'd play, but I wouldn't be surprised for this to come out. But I think what might drive it in is the stack depth being shallow. But let's take a look. There's king 5. It's close, but it's in. It's probably not going to be worth much. Not worth much.
So there's no what stack depth is this?
This is
30.
around 30.
So we're not
Yeah.
at 30. Oh, we are at 30. Okay. So call not worth
Yeah.
much.
40, it's in it. It is clicking, like you said. See when it comes out. 50, it's starting to come out. 60, it's pretty much out. But the problem with getting into the habit of folding these types of hands when you're shallow is when you look at like 20 big blinds, it's not going to be the bottom. Yeah. Especially when you look at the 3 big blind ISOs.
Let's see 20.
If you face a 3 big blind here at 20, which is a pretty common ISO size, right? King Deuce might be in. Like I wouldn't just snap full King Deuce offsuit against a small ISO. Limp shove on a bunch of them too. I would probably underdo this personally. But that's 20. Obviously, this is chips.
Yeah.
King 5 up at 30. Yeah, just be careful with those kings. And then I think just the big blind ISO. No hands. Beautiful. I know you're not going to have that many opportunities in such a small sample, but it's worth double checking. But yeah, let's just jump into the main event. So
You seem
yeah, 10 river
excited about
spots.
this.
It's fun.
How did
It's fun.
Mark get on?
Mark did okay. He didn't do amazing. He didn't do terrible. Mark did he did pretty good.
Okay, so
What I will say is by the end of the session, he was infinitely better.
it's nailing everyone. Right, I'm excited.
Like his ability to recognize he'd made a mistake at the end for basically the same hand that we looked at previously. So we've looked at this spot with him before. It's kind of like yours, where it doesn't take him that long to start making those adjustments. Like it doesn't take him months and months. Like
That's
you're
good.
pretty quick with the being able to recognize those patterns. It's super simple. It's just either folded 10 or folded river, or we have a betting opportunity on the river.
Okay.
And the reason I think it's so helpful is you've just got to connect the dots. So you've got to have a decent understanding of the pre-flop range. You've got to think through the flop range, the turn range, going through all of those streets, figuring out what your range looks like, and then how it wants to play based on that it's so helpful in a ton of spots, especially when the ranges are wide in your opposition, because that's when it sucks the most, right? So we've just got either we folded the river or the turn, or we've got a betting opportunity. So you're going to see like a lot of check call flop, check turn nodes. Do you want to leave multi-way in, or do you want to skip multi-way and focus on heads up?
Well, let's see how many mistakes I make heads up first, and then
Just heads up. Two bets. Let me save this filter. I'm sick of making it.
just 74 hands. Can you send me some of these filters, or
Yeah, I can send you one or two.
one or two?
One or two. $100 each. We just call this something. Just for now. There we go. 55.
55 hands.
Yep.
Okay.
What I want to do
300.
as well. It's a good spot. Number of players dealt in the hand between 5 and 9. Looks like it might be an FT.
Yeah, it looks like.
What do you think about this one?
Yeah, it's a bit fucking outline, is it? Against Genetron. I know, I think we have to. I mean, we're chip leader. We want to put pressure on. This is the type of board that we hit with our defending range. Obviously, he's got a lot more King X and stronger King X. But I don't think he should open fives or sixes even. Sixes probably, but definitely no two pair combos. So yeah, and we've got the backdoors.
So let's just based on the information you've just said that you've just shared with us, let's try and break this spot down a little bit, because I wouldn't check raise this personally. So you just said he might not even open fives, right? So what kind of range is fives at the bottom of? Like what kind of opening range is fives in and around close? It's under the gun, right?
Yeah.
Would you check raise this against under the gun?
Maybe as chip leader on an FT.
All right, I definitely wouldn't. So I'm looking for much higher. My threshold is going to be much higher for a check raise. It's going to be like ace-7 with the ace of hearts. It's going to be a good shot with a heart. Yeah, it's going to be strong flush draws. It's going to be those types of hands. I think the ace-x with the heart is going to be the bulk of it. I don't think a hand like Queen Jack of diamonds would be too bad. I don't think ace-7 of diamonds would be too bad, but this just feels too weak for me on a king high board. I just don't think there's enough going on, especially when you consider the blind level's super high. His opening range is going to be much tighter.
This is 5 left in the 109 Super Tuesday.
So this is FT, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell you what we'll do. We'll look at chips. Here's the thing, I still think it's kind of dicey in chips. Just because the board has so much interaction. Very dynamic board. We have a lot of straight draws. We have a lot of flush draws. A lot of those are going to come in before a hand like this, especially when we don't have an overcard at the top pair. Because that's really what I'm looking for when I'm check raising these kind of backdoors. It's an overcard. You've got the backdoor straight, which is amazing. You've got the backdoor flush draw, which is really good. You've nailed those. But that overcard, that third detail for me is pretty key.
Okay.
The fact that it's an FT, we do cover. So it'll be interesting to see if we run an ICM adjusted sim, what changes. But if we just go like 30 bigs and chips to start, if it's struggling to come in here, which I think it might be pretty close, then I think we're going to struggle.
You reckon it folds?
I would fold against the hijack in chips, personally. That might be too tight, but that's what I would do. That's what I would assume. It's 30%.
Yeah, it's a good lesson to people who might be getting carried away with the backdoors. Yeah.
So Queen 7's in, so it's kind of close. Like the EV is going to be pretty close, but again, this is the hijack in chips. It's worth around 0. It's not a disaster. Like 10-7, all of these backdoor 7x diamond combos are pretty close. But I don't think it's going to get easier just because it's an FT and we cover. I think just how much his range tightens up is going to make it tricky. And I'm not too surprised to see, like, if you look over the left side with the offsuit combos, I'm not too surprised to see the hearts come in over this, like ace-7, queen-7. This is how I would do it personally before seeing this. It's just the ace of hearts. Ace-7 with a heart. Doesn't even need the ace of hearts, just want the overcard. Just wants the overcard. We got queen-jack with a heart coming in.
What's that 8-4 suited doing? What part of it raises? Just diamonds and hearts. Yeah.
Six X in there. You see the thresholds? It's just a little bit higher than this. But he's going to have to defend pretty wide when you make it this small. So there might be some opportunity for it to be worth more than 0. Like he has to float Jack 10 with the heart, Queen 10. But again, with it being an FT, let's just smash through a super quick range. So we were 500, right? FT, 500. So we're looking for like 30 bigs against the big stack. Obviously, the pressure is on him in this hand, right? With this guy being short. But it's not like there's a 5 big blind stack somewhere. That's a massive problem. Give me a shout, by the way, if you see a good distribution. Because I think this one's going to be too harsh.
Where we have 88. I think that seems like...
We could go for this one. This is the part where like the flop has a bunch of leads and we suck at ICM or some ridiculous shit. seen that a lot recently. Not on these type of boards. I think we're going to check a lot, to be honest. But see some crazy stuff with these ICM adjusted sims, man. There you go. Nice one.
Leading.
Yeah, I'm going to take that out. So he needs to check a lot. I don't know what you're doing there as the hijack, but I'm not checking 2/3 of the time, personally. But we should.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a lot of check.
When he can get check raised by the big blind with Jack 7 suited, probably check back a lot.
Hey, look at that. It's in there.
Fucking get in there, boy. What's the size?
It's just clicking.
Yes.
It's gone 3.5. This sim just looks strange. Like, what the fuck is going on? Why are all of these combos mixing at like the same frequency? Am I missing something?
Oh, this is PLO, is it?
The fuck's going on? Don't you think this sim looks strange? Like Pocket Hits is.
Yeah, every single hand in the range is is VP
Have I
at
taken
a
us into
frequency.
some weird fucking. What the fuck is going on? Because the tree's definitely like real, right? Like, I haven't picked a size that isn't being used, so the sim's all fucked. The fuck? Like 6x is... Oh, this is fucking weird. Like the 6x and 5x is all people calling, but it's shown as a mix. Something about the way it's shown as the information's not working correctly. We can look at the EV, that might help. So it is minus EV, so it's probably going to come out, but it's pretty close. Like, it's not a fucking disaster. But I would recommend you don't do it, personally. 10 looks pretty standard. Small size, not folding much. See what we'll do. Bring this blind level down as well. Because if the ICM sims are going to look like that, we'll just fucking skip them. Yeah. So what do you think about this one?
I wasn't watching. What is it? Check call flop.
Yeah.
We hit. Yeah, I think we're pretty low down here. I wouldn't say it's mandatory bluff, but well, no, I think it is. Maybe we can go smaller. Just get like sixes, sevens, eights, nines, and tens to fold.
So is that your main thought process when you're thinking about bet sizing on the river?
What I
And
want
what
to
you're
fold
attacking?
out, is it?
Yeah, is that how you're approaching it at the minute?
Um, no. I think about my value, and I think
Yeah, good.
about what size I want to bet with my value, which in this case is like 3-5 and two pairs and things like that. I think if I have a club in my hand, I can bet bigger. Just shove on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. I would. That's how I would approach it. That's why I asked. So I'll be thinking about what sizing does my value range want to use. We don't have much ASX, right? I guess we can have a little bit in terms of suited combos. They probably want to bet, 40, 60% maybe. Flushes, I think, can jam because I think he's not going to be completely capped, but I still think flushes are going to be good to jam. So I would have some jams as a bluff, but I would use a hand like 5-4 with a club. I think offsetting it with a club is just going to be better. I actually like bluffing the deuce X more than the 4X block because when you think about which strong hands he has on the river, I think it's more likely to be a hand like ace 2 suited than ace 4 suited because I think ace 4 suited can bet the
Bet the
turn,
turn,
right?
yeah.
But the point of this filter is partly for hands like this where we check all the flop, the turn or river fills out, and then we end up with a hand with showdown value that needs to bluff because we're just at the bottom of the range. So I agree. I think this bluff's pretty important. We have a lot of hands which can bluff in terms of pairs, so you've got to draw the line somewhere. But we have a lot of flushes. We got plenty of value. There's nothing else in the range that can bluff that isn't a weak pair like this. We've got to use 5 deuce. We've got to use deuce 3. We've got to use 4x. The fact that we check for a little bit of EV is kind of irrelevant. Yeah, but sounds like you're on board. But a lot of people have been struggling with that, so I'm glad we're bluffing this. It's a little bit of a tricky spot because he should have some jams, right? So his range is kind of poor. It's not what we usually see in terms of an opening range. So it's post flop gets a little bit nuanced, but let's take a look. I also think he might be able to just bet the turn to a super high frequency. It is a club, which is a nightmare, but the king's just great for his range.
Yeah.
The board, he's already got a massive advantage on the flop. If you were to ask me to guess what's the frequency on the turn, is it on the high side, on the low side? I would guess it's on the high side for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is like in general, like missing a bluff here when they've checked back on a turn card where they should really be betting is a disaster.
Yeah, a lot of ace X is raised in the flop, so the value range on the river. We're probably going to use some small sizings with king X from good shots. But doing a lot of check-ins probably also really good because we still have a pretty weak range. And then jam, I think, is going to be an option because we just retain a lot of flushes. We have some leads on the club. That's kind of sick. The barrel frequency.
It's a big club, yeah.
The big club, exactly. Check, check, deuce. I'm not too concerned if this specific hand doesn't bluff, but the main thing is we need to be bluffing with pairs. That's kind of the main concept because we just don't have anything worse, right? We don't have sixes. We don't have Queen 7 suited. This is all we've got. So I would never check these. This is kind of wild. I wouldn't recommend you check these, even though the solver likes to check them. I think it's just there's probably some blocker interactions going on. Most of the time, like a large majority of the time, this block of hands on the river is just going to bluff. We're going to bluff from the bottom up. There's something going on with the blockers, which is causing it to check. It's also bluffing higher up. So if we look at the low pairs, it's bluffing 10-4 suited. It's bluffing 5-4 for a jam. It likes the club when it jams. We said that. I think that's pretty reasonable, right? 4-3. 5 deuce is kind of close, but I would have bet. It likes this B40
So yeah, a bit smaller.
quite a lot. Because the value is just going, like, the value is basically ace 3, and then it's some of these two pair combos, like, second pair combos. King, queen, king 10. As long as you bet, to be honest, that's all I'm concerned about. You see 10-4 shoving. So you can check queen 9, queen 8 with the club, but we're doing it to bluff higher up. That's why we're checking those hands. And the value range is pretty restricted, right? We don't have infinite value bets, so you don't need to find infinite bluffs. You just need to fill up on enough to offset the value. That's it. But yeah, I like it.
I wonder
What do you think of this
why
one?
the queen. There must be something about the queen and jack that's really bad to bluff. Oh, sorry, the
Just for
queen.
these combos.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look. What happens when we bet? There's quite a lot of this, which he's folding. There's a lot of this. A lot of queen highs. A lot of pocket nines. He might just be blocking too many folds, sad to say. And he doesn't really have a flush, so the queen of clubs it's not too relevant as a blocker. Yeah, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, just going for it.
Yeah, we have some flushes as the big blind on the river. That's our flush block. We have a lot. Mixing.
Yeah, again, high and then a couple of cards that's good for my range. We have some good properties with the back doors. But yeah, just after seeing the Jack 7 hand, maybe it's out of line.
Yeah, I would fold, personally. I would fold. I think so we can't have an overcard against the ace, right? But we can have an overcard against the 7. So a hand like Jack 8 suited, we're still having the back doors, but having 2 overcards against 7x. Doesn't seem too bad. But my main concern with this board is it's an ace-high board. The fold frequency is going to be very high. So again, I think the threshold's just going to be higher than this hand. Again, I don't think it's going to be some disaster in terms of the EV. We do have some good backdoor equity. We block some of the continues. We can barrel some turns. But I think I would let it go and just bluff a little bit higher up. Maybe some queen 5 suited is going to come in. Just a little bit more interaction with the 2 low cards. Maybe Jack 5 suited. But in your defense, it's the button. You know, you've used a small size. What size is he betting? 20%-ish. He bets way too small. Happens. It's in. Jack 3 spades specifically. But what do we want to do with this block? Mostly fold. Although I wouldn't have check raised A3 that much. So I would be underdoing it with this block.
I rolled
But you
the
see the
rolled the low
5x block
number
is
again.
5x block. King 3, not folding. Queen 3, not folding with the back door. Let's look at the raises though, and let's take out the pairs. So it's just a lot of these 5x. A little bit more interaction with the 2 cards. We can just turn more straight draws with a 5 than a 3. Yeah. 6 brings us an open ender. 3 gives us a double gutter or an open ender, however you want to describe it, right? But it's pretty close. And I also think, just exploitatively, you've got an opportunity for it to do better in practice because they defend in range, like we've seen before. We just can't fold much in position. So what does not folding much look like? 10-6 of spades is in. Jack 5 of hearts is V-pipping. So yeah. I wouldn't have done this, but I don't mind it at all. I think it's fine. Based on this sim.
You don't mind that after seeing the sim. Do you want me to coach you? We go through
Shall we
your.
do that for the next session, yeah?
Nah.
I'll get the stream on. You can teach me how to fucking check raise from the big blind. Just be careful
Yeah,
with
yeah.
these combos. I would check the 10. Nice.
It's a pretty bad turn.
Yeah, just wanna use our club combos. Good shots, I think. It knows frequencies today, man.
Telling ya. I think we're okay here. With a pair of threes. After he checks it down.
Yeah. Looks fine to me. Yeah, check raise probably pretty good with a club. We're super deep. I think equity driven is going to be the way to do it, right? 6-4 diamonds, 6-3 diamonds, 4-3. What call's good? Easy folds. That looks good. Now we have some equity. We're like, I'm not interested in check raising, lads. Give me queen 4 offsuit. Actually, that's a pair. Give me king 4 offsuit and we're in.
Yeah.
It's quite wide. It's this hijack 40 bigs.
Come on, baby. Come on! I lost. Blasted it off. I think once, obviously once I bet the turn, I have to shove river. But,
how much are you doing this on the flop in game?
every time. I know.
Every time.
No. I don't know. Not every time, anyway. I don't randomize or anything. I just whatever. Go with it. Go with the feeling.
So if we don't have a system in place to kind of manage how often we're doing this, we're going to be doing it way too much.
I know I'm not doing it too much. Like, I might have done this, you know, I might have done this thinking, oh, I haven't done this in a while, kind of way. I don't have a system in place, obviously, but...
Yeah.
Not obviously, but I don't, yeah.
Obviously, if we always check raise this type of hand, it's going to be way too much. Now, if we never do it, it's not going to be enough. So, what's the solution? It's to do it sometimes. My solution, specifically, is to randomize. I think starting with thinking about what your value range is going to do is helpful. So, because he's used a slightly bigger sizing on a board like this, we don't really have Jack 6 offsuit. We don't have Jack 4 offsuit. So, the value range that we raise is going to be pretty thin. Right, so we don't need to bluff that much because I don't think the raising frequency is going to be crazy high. So a hand like this, I think, is going to be. It's already going to call a lot, but I think given the size, and it's going to do a lot of calling. So I'm starting there. So I'm already starting with a low frequency raise with a hand like this. And then when you think about which combos would be preferred, the 8 feels a little bit dicey when he bet folds the suited 8 X block from the low jack, because that's the bottom of his opening range, right? It's going to be suited 8s. But maybe a hand like 7-5, 7-3 suited with a backdoor, 5-3, 5 deuce is going to be preferred. Would you use any backdoors, by the way, on this flop? Like, would you use any like A7 suited, or is it mostly just gut shots?
X7 suited. Yeah.
Well, let's jump in the eye. Obviously your hand on. I think your hand on the flop's fine as a check raise. I just wouldn't do it too much.
The pairing turn is pretty shit, but the club is good. Oh, it's not a pairing turn. Sorry, they paired the river, didn't it?
Yeah, the king's interesting. I might just check the turn actually. The king's, it doesn't feel great. For our range, we are gonna have some open enders and some flush draws, some combo draws, which I think are gonna come in before this. Like if we check raise 8-5 of clubs, obviously we want to use that. I think. I'm just a little bit concerned on the turn that the check and frequency is going to be high, so we need to be more selective. Like what would you do with ace jack? So if you check raise ace jack or queen jack on the flop,
checking
on the turn. That's what I'm saying. Like if we're checking those, this bet size, there's no value in this bet size. I guess we could bet like.
Well, our notched hands like pocket fours, pocket sixes,
king jack,
king jack, yeah, king jack offsuit.
Fair enough.
A lot of combos.
Let's go B60. Yeah, so on the flop, I was thinking about how close the defend actually is going to be just as a VPip. Like, does it want to start to come out on the flop with it being offsuit? I don't think that's stupid, by the way. That idea that we might want to just fold the flop with the offsuit shitty gut shots.
Yeah.
It's a good board for in position. He's using a big size. It's rainbow, and we don't have the backdoors. But we'll see. We'll see what's happening. So if you have the value to support this bet size, I think it's reasonable. Obviously, we have a club, which is always nice. But we're not really blocking much in terms of his flush draws, right? With the 8. And then, as played, you probably just got to send it when you get there. But the bet size is small, so we're not going to bluff much. If you get there with a lot of 7 5s, 5 3s, 8 7s, it's easy to overdo, I think. Unlucky. So 8 5, it's in. 8 5's in. It's worth a lot, actually. It's worth a lot. It felt like it was kind of close to me. It's not that close. Against B60. There's our good shots. They're all in.
8-5 off is folding pre, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's a slightly bigger open than in the game. So, I mean, based on this, 8-5 dime, just calling a bunch. If we got the other good shots. We do want the good suits. Sad to say. We can just look at 8-5 at diamonds. We'll look at one of the other suits, actually. You made it like 9, right?
Yeah.
We look at 8-7. We look at 8-7. It is using some of those combos we mentioned, by the way. It's A7 suited, Ace-5, King-5, with those backdoors, the overcards.
It likes having straight draws on 5 and 7 specifically.
Yeah. 10 sucks. 10 sucks for us. We should check the 10.
7-5 suited. What combos betting the turn there? The non-clubs.
Yeah, I would just check range, keep it simple. You're not going to lose any EV for 9%. It's kind of hard to check range in game. Like, I think even you recognize, like, it's not a great card, but it's hard to go from this is a poor card for our range to check everything. That's a fucking leap.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big leap. Let's check an ace out. I think an ace is going to be similarly not great for us. Ace is a little bit easier, I think, right? Just to check. Yeah, queen's the same. So these Broadway, when we check raise and the turns are Broadway, I think it's easy when you shallow as well, right? Because you don't need to bet the turn to get the stacks in with 6s or Jack 6 suited. But yeah, the main thing is the turn's just really bad for us, so we want to be checking. That's the main takeaway for me.
There's a question for you in the chat there.
Mm-hmm. How do you get better at check raising? I think working with some heuristics is pretty good. So when you think about bluffing the bottom of the check raising range, especially when you're shallow, using overcards, backdoor straight and backdoor flush draws, they're going to be very, very consistent. So there's some rules like that. But drilling is just going to be, I think that's probably the number one. So when you ask what would I do to get better at check raising, I would just run hundreds of hands in the solver. Big blind versus button, big blind versus low jack.
Would you
Probably
use
for
the
close positions.
GtoWizard trainer to drill?
I would, yeah. And I would use the code for 10% off before I do it.
Yeah, it's in the description.
What the fuck is this? I would probably just click. Interesting. Club's great for us, right? But it's an ace. Thinking bet small. I don't think check's fucking stupid, but I would probably bet small. Nice. Beautiful. I'm probably gonna jam now. Hope he calls with some fucking stupid pocket jacks with a club.
How
There you
about
go.
jacks with no club?
Jacks with no club's even worse. Don't bet this size on a paired board against the big blind, guys.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
do
it's
that.
very small. And you want to bet one big blind when you don't have coverage of the pair, right? And then 25% when you do, for the most part.
Pretty good heuristic, to be honest, for me. Nice one. In terms of check raising, this would be a good example of a hand I might use. So we've got the overcard at the 9, which is always going to be valuable. Not because his range is 9x, but having those extra 3 outs when he does have a top pair is pretty good.
Would
We've
you
got
say
3 to a
I'm
straight
doing? Would you say
with
I'm
flush
doing
blocker.
way better than M Ben 10? Yeah. He's in the chat there.
No comment on that one. Mark's hand review for the last hand, by the way, yesterday was fucking beautiful. Perfect. Picked it up nicely. I would check the 10, I think, as well. What's the strategy for you here on the 10? Generally, what you doing?
Is this check call flop?
Check, check.
Check check.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have I'd have a mixed strategy. Huge bets and then small bets and checks.
Yeah, spot's interesting. I feel like if we have a 6, we want to go Geo, right? But when you think about the bottom of his opening range, pre-flop, it's going to be suited 6s. That's going to be the bottom of the cutoff open. So he might cover the 6x block enough, especially when he checks the flop, right? Because that's how he's going to check the flop. It's not going to be with Ace Jack. It's not going to be with Pocket Queen. It's going to be with 6x. It's going to be with 8-7, whatever it might be. So he probably does have good coverage of the 6. That might constrain our size a little bit, but we're not that deep. So maybe like Geo is still pretty good, betting 7. I think you can probably use a big size with the Jack X block too. If you have Ace Jack, King Jack, maybe we'll go 7 as well. But yeah, how would you bet small on the 10? Is it hands like this, or is it Jack X, or is it what's going on?
Yeah, like a 1/3. Yeah, mostly Jack X, and then some of the higher 8X probably like this.
Yeah.
And then some flush draws, obviously bluffs.
I'm just thinking about the value of more of a merge strategy on the 10 too, because he does cover that block of trips, which might constrain our size. Maybe going like B40, B60 with range. Betting a lot of the 6x to a merge size, like a middling size. Betting a lot of the Jack X to a middling size. Maybe some of the 8x, like Ace 8, King 8, could work. But yeah, it's always kind of tricky. I think. So you're not concerned with Geo on this turn. You're like, I would bet 7 with 6x, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not too sure, to be honest. Not too sure. Let's get rid of this. What the fuck is going on? There we go.
I mean, how much do we really need to think about the suited combos compared to offsuit?
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's not that there's not that much coverage, right? I think there's going to be like even A6 offsuit's going to come out. Who wants to go pot?
With range. No, not with range, but just a two bet strat.
Yeah, but this 2/3 is kind of non-existent. It's kind of merged, but it's just not going geo. But it's pretty close. But it likes this pot size with Jack X, so you can bet Jack X to pot. You can bet a lot of your 6X to pot.
Let's
Doesn't
run a
really like
few.
the X
Let's run a few rivers here
after pot.
after pot and call. Yeah.
3 pots, blank. So 6X is jamming. Jack X is mostly going for pot again. So pot with the Jack X block. Was there a certain river you wanted to?
No, I
see?
was wondering, does the jam come in on a blank actually?
Yeah. Then I think on a 5 of spades it's a little bit tricky. I think we might see. I would use pot again personally on a 5, and then I would just bet the flushes to that size.
All in,
Looks
baby.
like pot's too big though. I likes B40 with the 6X. So solver's like, fuck your merge strategy on the river. That sucks. If you have a flush, jam. If you have a 6, bet small.
There's a lot of even smaller betting there. Is that with Jack X?
Yeah, there's some small bet as well. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about this hunt?
I've got 9 high on the river.
Yeah.
I'm all in, man. Defend pre fine. Pretty clean gut shot with a heart, fine. And then it's just we get to the river with 9 high to 10 is good for us. I mean,
it's another spot where I don't think he should check much
on the turn, yeah.
On the turn. I'll tell you what, yeah, I think it's hard to take another line, right? We would need to see the sim and see it doing something kind of funky to not take this line. It looks kind of good to me. I like it. But one question I do have is, how much would you fold pre?
To a 2.3 or to any size?
Let's say a min. We'll start with a min raise.
How much would I fold pre? In Chippy V, not much. Like the offsuit deuce and 3x area. I'm calling every suited hand.
So yeah,
something like that. Yeah, take out those 10-4 off, jack deuce off.
Take these out.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah.
Right. So this is an interesting topic when we look at Chippy V pre-flop in terms of we're facing a linear open, so the open and range can't jam because he's too deep against players behind. But we're super shallow in the big blind. What you see in these spots is very, very low fold frequencies, especially against the button. So even folding this much when you've got 10 bigs and it's a linear open is going to be too much.
Wow.
To the point where some spots you just don't fold any 2 cards. Like 7 deuce is going to be pretty close here, I would imagine. It's tougher against a 2.3. But you're spot on. We do want to defend super wide. But one thing I want to show you.
Not wide enough.
When we go to, not wide enough. So when you go to a shorty in the big blinds, this is a good stack distribution because there's going to be a lot of linear opening ranges, right? You can't look at 10 big blind effective.
That 22 average is better.
This one?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Maybe not. We have
This one's
11
pretty,
there, yeah.
pretty vulnerable. It's not going to make a big difference. But the main point is when you look at a 10 big blind effective sim, the opening range is going to be polarized. So it's going to be much tighter when you're defending. But when it's linear, which it has to be when this guy has 30 effective against him, this is what the linear range looks like. There's a little bit of jam, but for the most part, it's pretty intact. It's going to translate to very little folds for the big blind because our equity realization when we're this shallow is very fucking high. The pot odds are amazing. Like if you think about raw equity, it's hard not to have 22% against any hand with any hand. Like it's pretty fucking difficult not to have that much. So when the equity realization is also high, which is the case when you're shallow, it results in a very, very wide defend.
Mm.
And that's against 2.2. Yeah.
Right, so the
10 deuce, 8-4, 5 deuce.
first minute will just be any two.
Yeah. And 7 deuce is minus 0.13. Will that come in against min? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. The 100% VPIP's always pretty hard to find. See if we can find a min raise. We can look at like a hijack min raise. Let's even go low jack. So this is the low jack open. Okay, so obviously the range is much tighter, but it's still linear, 20%. It's a min. If we look at the big blind defense, again, you just don't fold.
What is the story with that? 10-5 off. Why is 4 deuce off now suddenly? Oh, it's something to do with the low jack opening range, obviously, but
Yeah, he's going to open a lot of 10x. He's not going to be opening many of these cards. It's also disconnected. So having connectivity
no, it's just in the last one it was pure in. So
on the button.
and then the
it was pure in.
4 deuce off was out.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I would have defended these in this spot.
That whole 10x block is pure in there, and it's out versus low jack, all the way up to 10 and 5 off.
So even against this hijack range, which is quite polar, the fold frequency is not getting much higher than 10%. So footnotes for these spots, just defend a lot. Don't really fold, especially against min. Let's do 1 or 2 more, then we'll call it there, Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this?
Maybe I should have just went on the flop, I'm thinking. But I don't know. It's can we check his HUD stats or? Yeah, I know. I guess versus a range that has enough opens off the stack depth with bluffs, like, you know, King Jack off, probably shoves, yeah. King 10 off. Does he have Ace 4 off enough? Or could the Queen Jack off? I guess we should probably just run it on the flop versus those hands, or if we think he has enough of those hands.
Yeah, I think flop's interesting. We do get a lot of protection with spades specifically. So if you were going to mix the flop in terms of some pairs want to call, some pairs want to jam, jamming the pairs which need more protection is probably going to be a good idea. I don't think call's too bad though. But my main concern on the turn is he's betting less than pot. So if we think about what the fold frequency wants to look like on the turn, if he bets pot, let's even say we met MDF and we were at around 50% defend. We don't have 10x.
Yeah.
Really. You don't like how much Jack X are we getting here with Jack 9 suited? Obviously, like King Jack offsuit, Queen Jack, Julie are going to be pretty close. But what other Jack X are we getting to the turn with?
I mean, in terms of MDF, this would probably go in. It's just that, you know, there are some players who just would never put it in, um, with what they should be doing.
Just on the turn, you mean?
Yeah.
The thing is, his value range is super fucking thin. Like, I understand what you're concerned about. He's min raised off a shallow stack. He's bet the flop small. He's jammed a 10 on the Broadway. He's gonna have aces. He's gonna have kings. He's gonna have queens. It fucking sucks when you call and he turns over kings and you think, I fucking knew he had kings. He's min raising off 9 bigs. Why didn't I fold? And then the one or two times he has like some random king queen offsuit or some fucking queen 9 suited or some ace 9 off.
Makes up for the whole.
More than makes up for it because it's very few combos. I'm not saying this hand has to call the turn, by the way. I'm just saying if we're folding this, like, what are we calling? Because again, if we're two betting the flop a lot with 10x, what is our range on the 10? There's a little bit of jack x, but most of the range on the 10 is 5x and deuce x, right? So if most of the range on the 10, that can defend because we're not going to defend like 6-3 offsuit, right? If most of the range is those hands, what do we need to defend with on the 10? It's those hands.
There is certain spots though that I'm just happy to overfold, and not be too concerned about getting exploited or whatever.
Yeah. Where would you draw the line? So would you draw the line at like a jack? Because if his range is aces through queens, a jack's no different to a 5, right?
That's a good point.
So if we're saying we should fold because he has the nuts, King Jack suited's not going to perform any better than this. I guess we have, like we block kings maybe.
I don't know if I'm calling the flop with King Jack suited if I think his range is this strong.
See if we can find a sim. What's the opening off?
9.6.
9.6. Let's go chips. We'll go 800. We'll go 10. 5 jack, low jack. This is obviously going to have some bluffs. Do you understand what I'm getting at, though? I just
Yeah,
want you
yeah,
to be
yeah,
very
I
careful.
do.
Because it's just not going to take much. It's not going to take much. So we are just clicking the flop. I'm assuming we're just stacking off with most of those.
We'll end it at this hand, I think.
Yeah. His range is kind of scuffed. But yeah, we should do a lot of 2-betting on the flop. It is actually calling a lot of these 10x combos which don't need protection.
Yeah, it's like
Very value protection based 2-bet. What were you going to say, Connor?
this shadow, like with 10x. Yeah, like you said, you don't need protection. It's like you know, when someone min raises off like 10 blinds from small to big, you just flat sixes and call them down because their range should be polar, right?
Yeah.
So this guy opening off this stack, his range should be super polar. So like 10x doesn't really need protection versus the bluffs, and this already fucked versus the value.
See if we can get a reasonable answer in theory. I think it's easier to fold a hand like this if we see that it's close. Like if it's worth a chunk. I always have a hard time making big adjustments before I've seen
Yeah, fair enough.
a reason to.
If it's worth a lot, I'll adjust for sure as well.
Yeah, but it might not be. So let's take a look. And we can. I'm not going to do it today, but you can fuck around with the range a little bit. He shouldn't jam, but we're going to force him to play a jam or check. So we have some 2 pairs. We have queen deuce, I guess. But like 6 deuce. 6 deuces.
Is
It's
that
only really
jam?
these pocket pairs.
Sorry, no.
This is the call verse jam on the 10.
Where's
6
the
deuce suited, it's
5x?
worth like half a big blind. We're missing a check raise on the flop with the 5x.
Okay, yeah. There's 10-5 there. Oh, that's too.
See what I could do. I could take the small raise out. She still just wants to jam.
Yeah, I mean that was my concern. Just do it.
Let's just look at a different bit. Yeah, so I think 6 deuce might be 6 deuce ace deuce might be the only hands. It's worth 0.2. It's pretty close. Like I can't imagine 9-5's worth much more than that. I think as soon as you node lock his range, just bet a little bit more. More of those pairs. It's not much in terms of bluffs in the range though. It's a little bit ace high. Yeah, I just think you need to be careful with these spots. Try not to overdo it too much. The solver's finding plenty of defends, partly because it's check calling a bunch of 10x on the flop. So if we call less 10x on the flop and fold the 5x block, which we get to the turn with, then we're just going to be folding like 100. If we don't have 2 pair, yeah, if we don't have like jack deuce suited, we're going to be folding. So your fold frequency in this spot might be, what, 90%? 85%?
Yeah, it's a bit high.
Against the perfect range, it's going to be how we want to play, right? But just be careful. Just be a little bit careful making these kind of adjustments.
Okay, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back again next Tuesday at the same time. And yeah, link for HRC and GtoWizard 10% off both in the description. See you later.